Hey, Boyd, how you doing? So, well, moving into changing gears completely again. I'm finally getting through some of the more recent pickups that I just ended up buying but never actually getting around to watching. So, Mass Effect Paragon Lost. Now, you may or may not remember, a while ago I did a whole month of video game tie-in movies. This would fit in perfectly there, but, well, I didn't have it yet. Now, I love Mass Effect. It's one of my favorite game series. Big fan, love the series. So, I've heard some decent things about this one, but it's one of those unessential things, but I did enjoy it. It definitely adds a lot to the character of James Vega of Mass Effect 3. So, essentially, this is kind of what he was doing at the end of the first Mass Effect game and into the beginning of Mass Effect 2, and everything he has to deal with thereabouts. So while it kind of portrays a character from the third game, it's pretty much a lot of lead up on there. And with how much he essentially venerates Commander Shepard, it's you kind of see where a lot of this comes from and where his position is at the start of the third game. So, it's neat. So, plotline on this one, James Vega and his crew assist in protecting a research colony and get some accolades for it. Problem is, essentially, they view this as now a target, and they get stuck there for, well, a while. Much to the annoyance of one of the primary science and then primary researchers, an Asari named Tria, who James has more than a little bit of a thing for. Well, when when the collectors start making their attack, well, it becomes pretty much almost a survival horror at that point of seeing how they can get out of this. Well, as well as what Cerberus is doing to fuck around. I will say, there was a twist in this I was not expecting, particularly towards the end. I was so sure it was going to go one way at the ending, and, well, I was completely wrong. So, I will give it points for doing that and actually having the guts how the characters react to making a very difficult choice and perhaps even the wrong choice. But it's one of those, there were no good answers, and I was so sure it was going to go one way. Didn't. Overall, the story is pretty much unessential for the rest of the series at large, but the animation is a good looking anime, and voice acting is pretty much spot on. Nothing really jumped out at me as lacking in that regard. Freddie Prinze Jr. reprises his role as James Vega, so pretty much everything is fitting right in. I don't know if there's anything else really to go into on this one. If you're a big fan of the Mass Effect series, it's a fun little supplement, though bit of a downer. Definitely gonna throw that in there. So, if you're just waiting for some high energy sci-fi action, this will give it to you a little bit, but we go a little bit depressing and a little bit dead space all at the same time. So be aware of that. This one was circa 2012. It's a tough one to rate on the MacGuffin scale, since while I did enjoy it, overall it didn't really. While it had some background to James, didn't really advance too much otherwise. But the characters were likable. I really liked the character of Tria, so she had good chemistry with James. I'll give it a 7 MacGuffins. Definitely on the higher end. It was well put together. I enjoyed it. I probably would have enjoyed it more if I was in the right mood for it at that, admittedly, but I'll know better going in later. I will say it doesn't really take time to explain much of the Mass Effect universe, so Asari show up, it doesn't explain who or what Asari are. The collectors show up. In this case, they are supposed to be mysterious, but like how the weaponry works, or the Mass Effect, or the biotic characters throwing their energy around, it doesn't explain it all. it does expect you to be familiar with the game. So if you are hitting the ground running as just coming into this as a sci-fi, you'll do fine. Like none of it is like so out there that you can't get a rough idea, but it's definitely not aimed at beginners. I think that's pretty much all to be said on that. Yep. So Mass Effect Paragon Lost. It was worth checking out. Have a good night.